Hello, hello. I am so excited to be here this evening to be open and available again for a intuitive guidance Q&A. This will be the third one of these I've done. The first one didn't go so hot because it wasn't recorded. But yeah, I've talked a little bit last week about why I'm doing these and thought that perhaps for anybody watching, whether now or replays, I'd share a bit about what these are, why I'm doing them, and kind of how you can participate either now or in the future. So the idea and the reasoning, the desire, I guess you could say, for why I have decided to be doing these videos, as I have mentioned previously, is connection. I have a desire, yes, to connect in the sense of I think that we're living in times where everybody's craving a little bit of unscripted, not performative, genuine connection. And yes, I have clients. Yes, I feel very confident in my abilities and gifts. I'm not doing this in the sense for practice. I'm doing this in the sense of being available and seeing who can join me, engage with me. So the purpose of these is a perfect opportunity to share a thought, ask a question. If you do want intuitive guidance for this video and any video moving forward, I've recognized that I, as a Akashic Records reader and a channeler, I need to have some sort of energetic connection to you. So if you do have a question, please give me your first name. You don't need to give me your last, just your first name and your question, and type it into the chat. And I'm going to keep an eye on that and address questions as they come in and as I see them. Also, this is a good opportunity to, if you're not necessarily looking for intuitive guidance, but you're curious about something you've heard or have always wondered about regarding spirituality, in the sense of any connection to human design, astrology, galactic astrology. These are some of the things I enjoy. I wouldn't say numerology is my specialty. I know a tiny, light amount of it, but any sort of conversation where you're at, any topics of what you're evolving, growing through, galactic races, conversations like, tell me if I'm connected to the Andromedans, what does that look like in my life? So these are some of the areas that we can kind of chat about and explore. And so I've decided that I would show up and do these videos occasionally and be available for whoever needs it, whoever's craving it, or wants to connect. It's interesting because I've actually had, within different realms of my clients and other aspects or ways that this desire has been stirring in others as well. And I think there's multiple parts of that. I think in part it has to do with how we're evolving and growing collectively. And I think that where we are going is going to require us to kind of step into new energy, while not totally new, completely, because there is that aspect where there are places and times when we were connected more to our neighbor. My partner was sharing with me once how when he was growing up, their whole street block had like a barbecue. And it was just kind of like this community thing they just decided to do. I didn't have that experience growing up. So it was very meaningful to him, and something that, much longer, past was still kind of there. So I think that we're going to be stepping a little bit more into this connection energy, because I think it's going to be where we start to come together, or desire to kind of come together to evolve and grow forward. The other factor I feel like this is in contribution to how the growth of AI is influencing us. We can see AI videos, AI, music. AI is a place to go for, information, and there's art and expression. I think that also part of our craving for unpolished connection is going to equally come from that as well. And it's interesting because one thing I can say in brief that came up in a recent trance channeling session I did was that the information that was shared, and I'm trying to think, was it consciously channeled or trance channeled? I don't know. Anyways, it's irrelevant, right? I just want you to follow with the idea. I think it was conscious channeling. Anyways, it's the idea that as we are expanding and growing and coming into more of our full essence and our vibration is increasing, our chakras are aligning, our hearts are expanding, and we're going to come together. We're going to start feeling that what unconditional love really is, what, connection really is. And what was brought up in this session is that the heart would be expanding to a point where it might almost feel like a lot to balance, because of its intensity of openness for others, openness for being able to truly connect. How many times do we, oh my gosh, this kills me. How many times do we get asked, how are you doing? How is your day? And I bet you 9 times out of 10, your answer is some sort of generic response that is not connecting. What's interesting is this is a perfect example. One side of us has said, oh, it's the polite, proper thing to do to ask this question. And the other side feels like it's the polite, proper thing to answer it this way. Oh my gosh, what a mask that's turned into. Because if you look at what's exchanging in that moment, someone says, how are you doing? How is your day? That's an opening. It should be in an energy of like, I want to connect with you. I want to be present in this moment, in this exchange with you. And then in return, it would be the person would reply and say genuinely, I will be honest, I haven't had a great day. Thank you for asking. But, and share something personal, maybe not everything, that's not where your comfort is, but that's at least starting to be more of a connection than the canned response. Something that should be personal or connective is become canned and fake. Yet we all go through the motions. We all keep saying it and keep asking it. I feel like maybe instead we should look at it as, if you're going to ask the question, look at where you are in your space before you ask it. If you can't hold genuine space for someone to say the response, then don't ask it. We'd be better off not to ask it than to program ourselves to have this fake illusion of connection that's really not. I guess I'm on a roll. I'm going to keep talking about connection. The other thing I've noticed is there's a lot of people talking about it, but at the same time, how are we actually open to it in our lives? Or do we have this romanticized ideal of what it is, and it's completely weighted on the other's experience, or completely rated on, what we want to receive only, but yet look at your actions. What ways are you being open? I'll give a simple example. I found a group, and I won't get into details, but there was a group online I found, and it was created by someone who said, "Oh my gosh, I crave genuine deep connection. Like, I don't want surface level. I don't want small talk. I want to actually go somewhere with you and be together, part of this journey, and get together and have community and come together and have coffee." And I was so excited. I was like, yes, yes, I want this too. I want this too. And so I go on there and, I share an introduction, and I'm going to other people's posts, and I'm being genuinely engaging and commenting and connecting. And I'm saying, yes, who wants to, join for coffee? Like, yes, I want to do these things. Well, then I took a step back and I looked at it later. And I recognized that the person who started the group in the first place, wasn't engaging with any of the comments. They weren't liking, which even then, let's be honest, if you're starting a group that talks about depth of connection, that needs to go beyond a simple like. Like, that should be, and this group wasn't booming to the point where there couldn't have been more connection. But yet the desire's there. But what is the energy frequency saying to the universe? You set out an invitation and a call, and not just myself, others replied. But then there was crickets. Then there was nothing. So what this feels like and is perceived, or what I would say it feels as it's communicating to the universe, is I want people to connect with me, but I'm not really sure if I feel comfortable or open or have the time to meet them there. So maybe they are someone that in their day-to-day life, every now and then, a nice, meaningful moment happens and they feel connection. But my point is, regardless of where they are, the why, what their life looks like over this period of time, seeing no engagement, no connection, it was almost like a lot of us were introducing ourselves and we were taking up space, but we weren't giving that. It's one thing for me to say, I want to connect. Here I am. This is me. This is me. This is me. This is me. And then just sitting there. It's another thing entirely to say, I want a deeper connection, or I want a authentic connection, or something with more meaning. I don't want performance-based connection. It's one thing to say, this is who I am. And it's another thing to then connect. When people say, hey, Cassandra, I'm this or whatever, engage, meet them. So this has inspired me to really look at my life. What ways have I said, yeah, I want connection. But what exactly does that mean? Like, to what depth? Like, to what meaning? And am I open? Or am I just like romanticizing the idea? What if I do say, hey, how was your day? Do I in that connection, am I genuinely wanting to hold space for someone who's having a hard time? Now, I know that answer for me, and that's yes, I do. Back in December, my guides prompted me to go sit on the beach with a sign that said free intuitive readings. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I don't know if anyone will show up, just like here on this live. I don't know if anybody will show up, but I still know what I want. And I still know that if I want to be able to engage in that There has to be channels of openness that I'm putting availability for people to meet me there. I can't control whether or not they meet me there, but I can be present and I can say, hey, tell me about your day. That's what this is. It's, hey, tell me about your day. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just availability, just like sitting on the beach. And I still remember one of the first things that happened. I was so nervous. My heart was racing because I was nervous about being so upfront with who I was in such a public place. And I sat there and it took a while for me to feel like you can't escape, just like now. I'm showing up. I don't know, but I'm still going to show up regardless of who shows up with me. And I had to sit there. It would have been easy to say, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. This is uncomfortable. Like that's when we get in our heads. We say, nobody wants what I'm offering. Like there's no purpose for me here. There's no space for my gifts here. It's one thing to accept your gifts. It's a whole nother thing to be accepting of it and still identify with them and their value, regardless of who shows up, regardless of who says, yeah, Cassandra, let's do this. So I sat there on the beach and I'll never forget the first exchange I had was there was a lady jogging by and she went like this with her hands. And she didn't stop and sit with me, but it was like, I see you and I see you, I feel you, and I recognize what you're doing. And that was enough fuel for me to keep sitting there. And I did have people come and talk to me. I did have people come for guidance and share with me. And I had people that even sat with me with presence and asked me questions. And my heart after that experience was just so full. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm wanting to do this. I'm doing the work that's not always easy for myself. And I'm putting myself in uncomfortable positions because I don't want to be who I was anymore. And that person was someone that was isolated, was not open, was very performance and service-based. It was all about exchange, and it wasn't about connection. And I was shut down in a lot of ways. And I think one of the things the most I took away after that day at the beach, sitting there, is how lit up my heart was. I made people cry, which was in a positive way. It was good because they felt seen and acknowledged. I made people feel almost like their breath was taken away with what they have to look forward to, what's coming in their life. And my heart, I connected. It was this powerful feeling of connection. It was human. It was imperfect. It was in the moment. And I had somebody ask me when they said, when you did that experience, did you tell them your website? Did you say, here's my Instagram, follow me, we can connect here? And I said, no, because I wasn't meant to. That moment was genuinely about, can I meet people where they are, and can they equally meet me where I'm at and be vulnerable and be open? And the answer was yes, they did. And that was what it was all about. It wasn't about gaining clients. It wasn't about making the sale. It wasn't about practicing intuition. Like I said, none of those were the reasons. It was about, if we are living in this world of changing and crumbling systems and all of the gunk, like I talked about in the beginning, of like, how's your day? Oh, fine. How was yours? Do we mean that? No. It was like all of that. I feel like we're going to be coming back to aspects of genuine human engagement, which is interesting because in the spiritual community, we're talking all about the spiritual. And yes, because it is to know us, know the self. If I know myself, if I'm comfortable enough with myself that, yes, I could set up a sign on the beach and say, hey, let's talk about aliens. Hey, free intuitive readings. If I'm okay with showing up regardless of what is received or what's shared, if I'm good with me, I have so much more I can hold space for others. I have so much more that I can offer and participate and engage in that doesn't feel draining because I've done things. So yes, we have all this talk about spiritual aspects, and I'm here to talk to you about them. But it's a remembering that, and in part though, it is about recognizing we are the expansive thing. We are that. We are God and me. We are the ocean and the drop, the collective. We are all those things. But we're also here. We're also on this planet. And if you are watching this at some point, you're here at this time. You chose this time. And I think you chose it because somewhere in your soul, I think there's a knowing that says, we're going to rebuild. We're going to start going through the little things like I said, the introduction. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. We're going to start redesigning how we experience, how we engage from a place of more wholeness internally. And that is going to allow us to appreciate each other's individuality and uniqueness, and to hold space and to be open and share unconditional love in ways that are new. And that just opens us up more. The more our vibration increases, the more gifts we have. That's why I think so many people and so many of my clients come to me right now and say, well, it's kind of this and this, but it doesn't fit this label. And it's really not this label. And it's this thing, but I don't understand, but it's kind of all these. And I'm like, yeah, good for you. You're doing it right. Because we're evolving beyond known labels of gifts and abilities. That's kind of cool. I think it's cool. I think it's hard though, because then we have to be okay that there's no labels. And that's a whole nother challenge in and of itself. So this is, I don't know, some of my conversation of what I feel like is coming up for me and why I'm here and present. So I'm going to, again, for anybody watching, offer the invitation to ask a question if you'd like. I'm looking for your first name only so I can energetically connect with you. And then your question. And it can be about guidance for where you are. It can be about anything to do with galactic or astrology or human design. And honestly, if you're watching this in the replay and you're listening and you're here with me, put your question. I can ask it in my next video. We can connect that way. But another thing I like to say that I find out when I find people experience whenever they are in situations like this, it's like a lot, not even, I don't even want to say 9 times out of 10. I want to say like pretty much every time I host a group session of some sort, someone will finally be the one to ask the question. And usually the whole group was like, oh, that applied to me too. I was wanting to know that. I'm so glad you asked. So don't be afraid, whether it's, in one of my lives or in a replay, don't be afraid to ask the questions, because chances are you're not the only one with that question. And I think that what I'm going to do, if we don't have any immediate questions, is I'm probably going to tune in and channel. It's been a while since I trans-channeled, honestly. I've had some client sessions, but I haven't done any live on YouTube in a while. But I'm going to consciously channel some guidance for the collective, I think is what I'm going to go ahead and do. So as I do this, I'm going to just kind of take a moment and connect energetically. I'm going to take this moment and say that if for some reason this video has found you for the first time and you do not know who I am, hi, my name is Cassandra Deanne, and I am a certified Galactic astrologer. I'm also certified in human design, and I'm certified in the Gene Keys. I'm a Akashic Record reader and channeler. I channel both consciously and trans-channeled. My sessions include all of these sort of things to ultimately, at the end of the day, help you to understand the essence of who you are. I feel like the clients that find me are usually in a very pivotal place in their life, or kind of in that energy where it's like something just doesn't fit right. There might be like an underlining agitation. Oh, hi, Sherry. Now I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. Okay. What is going on? Okay, Sherry, yeah. So I'm assuming you heard and know that by if I connect, I'm wanting your permission, and I'm assuming I feel that that's the case. I'm gonna type it just in the chat though, to be sure. Yes. Okay. Woo! You're quick internet response right now. Lovely. All right. So Sherry, I'm gonna open your Akashic Records, and I'm gonna connect and see what guidance is wanting to come through intuitively for you tonight regarding this. So just give me a second. Sherry, I invite you to just kind of take a breath with me, if you can, if you're in a position to do so, just a moment of presence, to just rest into your body. Feel yourself rest into your vessel, and just take a moment of presence while I open your Akashic Records and see what's coming through. Okay, I can tell you the first thing I'm getting already, and it just keeps repeating over and over and over, is it's actually not a holding pattern. It's not a holding pattern. It's not a holding pattern. And what I feel like is happening is that there are a few pieces, and it feels like it's nothing big. And I think that that's partly why maybe it feels like a holding pattern, but there are a few energetic kind of like tweaks that are unfolding to help you into aligning in a very particular way to appropriately vibrate and attract where you're going. So I'm looking for very human language for this. basically it feels like you may be dressing one way for the job, thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to go do this. But there's something in your energy that's like just a slight tweak that's going to put you in a total different, more aligned frequency to what wants to kind of come and be attracted. Now, I will say this, I don't feel like it's long. And I'm just kind of tuning into your energy to see if this is something that is, are we talking like a slow burn? Are we talking like a pop off, or a quantum jump sort of energy? Like um, what this energy is. And I'm looking again. So this is in relationship to feeling like you're here to do something. So I'm assuming we're talking about ways in which you're contributing or sharing, whether it's like through your essence, your work, your career, a feeling of purpose, those sort of things. I feel like within a couple months, you're especially going to have a jump in understanding, clarity. I feel like there will be something that just kind of um, hits home in a way that you kind of are you're walking different, you're showing up differently, you're understanding yourself, what you're sharing with a whole new clarity. Now I'm gonna ask Sherry, I do feel like there's more that wants to come through, but I feel like I need to ask because it's like I feel like they're wanting to be a little more nuanced with you. My question is, are you currently offering some sort of service or some sort of thing connected to what you're asking about? Or is this or is this in some other area? I'm just going to take a moment. And I feel like the reason they want you to answer this is because I feel like it is connected to what they are open to share. Now I am home, not working, and feeling disconnected from my purpose connection and my tribe. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm connecting further because I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely feel, and it keeps coming back, and I'm hesitant. I'm always, when I read, I try to make sure I'm very much tuning into the energy, how it wants to be expressed. And my guides do keep saying service to me. So I do feel like in some capacity, you will be sharing some sort of particular service or offering, which is why I think they wanted me to ask. Um, but I feel like the guidance of what is coming through is you're so close, but there is something that is very significant in the next 2 months that will bring more clarity into what it is that you contribute or want to share, and how you show up. Now, as far as I'm also being drawn to your language of my tribe, my tribe. So with this, I'm going to tune in. I feel like if you tell me it's okay, I feel like more information wants to come there. Can you just kind of give me a chat to respect whether or not you want to go there or not in this video? Yes. Okay. All right. Let me see. I feel like in part, the energy I'm feeling is there might be an aspect in which actually you are creating a tribe or a community. It very much has an energy that it almost feels like it may seem something casual or simple at first, but it does very much feel like your energy is within the realm of creating a container that brings in a tribe. In other words, like you might not be going out and looking and saying, oh, yeah, this feels like home. I'm going to plug in here. This is my tribe. But it actually almost feels like what's going to transpire is a mixture of you showing up, being existing, being in an aligned frequency, and beginning to create a container in some capacity. And it could be as simple as you are out and someone resonates and you say, hey, like, let's go get coffee. And then they're talking about blah, 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 and so, their friend. And you say, hey, why don't you invite them to come join us for coffee? And you're kind of like growing a container, a space. Now, I'm not surprised you're watching my video because I feel like I've said in the beginning of this, a lot of my clients and other people are equally having these desires. And I feel like this is because in your particular case, that your frequency is actually aligning in a way that is going to be one of the containers or holders for a tribe, for a space. And I also feel that it's important to definitely understand that in this desire to make sure there's a consistency of openness when you energetically feel you are capable to playing with and engaging with this kind of energy. But I'm definitely feeling strongly, and I think that's why it might have stood out, that you are being called to be within that frequency. How does that feel? How does that resonate? I don't know. It might not be comfortable, or maybe it will be. But put in the chat. Let me know what you think. Yeah. Okay, and I do feel like that's all I'm getting through. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to wait till you respond, and then I'll close out your Akashic Records. I will say also, share your energy, your vibration feels good. I feel like whatever work you are doing, I feel I feel a lot of peace. I feel a beautiful feeling in the heart chakra. I'm seeing a lot of green ray too for you. All right. I would love to create a community of like-minded people. I just don't know where to start. Don't start in the energy frequency of unfolding is what I'm feeling. it is now, it is in every moment, it's in every hug, every hi, every gesture. It's in trust in your intuition in each moment. Now I'll be honest, I feel like the tribe energy frequency I'm feeling is in person. So whether that starts in person or starts online and ends up being in person, the main energy frequency I'm feeling feels very much in person. So I would say if you were to feel into that, to look at each engagement, make sure when you also, not make sure, let me adjust my language. It is suggested, your guides are saying, when you leave the house with intention, meaning if you're drained and you need to run real quick to the store, that's fine, that's one thing, but give yourself moments where you're intentionally playing with the cosmos, meaning I want to connect, so I have to go get some groceries, I'm feeling good, my vibration feels very aligned, I've got some space, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make eye contact. I'm going to smile. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to take it a step further. If maybe you are someone that's comfortable with speaking to people, instead of just one sentence with the cashier, add an extra layer, or share an extra exchange with someone next to you, or someone's, sitting at a somewhere, offer an exchange and communication. Understand that the other thing I feel like is coming through is it's important to have the energy intention when you leave with that container, that space. And then also the energy feels like it's also equally important to not take, whether people meet you there or don't meet you there, don't add any weight to that, because I feel like being along, like I'm saying, with others like myself that have this energy, I feel like there is this first wave energy of new ways of connection, new ways of being, new ways of engaging. And therefore, it's going to feel unfamiliar. Even myself, I've recognized that people have tried to connect, and I would only connect so far because I'm still growing. And that's okay. I just say to myself, okay, Cassandra, we can show up more present and then the next time. So don't take anything too much weighted, because know that we're all evolving and growing and redefining again what it's like to interact with one another. And I do feel like, yes, like-minded, but I think that understand also that like-minded is look at it, what I feel like is coming through, look at it from a perspective of accessibility and possibility versus, well, this is rare, they probably don't, won't get this. Like, feel it, the energy feels very much open, let it play with you, let it surprise you. Okay, that's what's coming through. How does that feel? Oh, I love that. Beautiful. Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. And yes, unfortunately, there are a lot of Cassandras out there. Meaning I'm on the spectrum. It doesn't come natural to me. It is a natural, everyday effort to get it. A lot of times I don't even get it when people are trying to genuinely connect with me. So, but I want it. And I keep showing up, and you and people like you that keep showing up, we'll find each other. All of us will find each other. I really feel that to my core. And I'll be honest, probably at least 75-80% of what I have been receiving through trance channeling and guidance from higher frequencies has come back to connection to not even humans exactly, but animals and the earth and the plants. And so, yeah, you're beautiful energy, Sherry. I'm going to close your Akashic Records. Thank you so much. My heart feels warm. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for sharing with me and being here with me. It means so much. I'm going to close out your records. Awesome. But I am here if you have a question otherwise, like on astrology or galactic astrology, human design, or want to share something you've learned or grown with lately. Feel free to keep chatting. Aw, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. And Cherry, if you do have one, let me know. Otherwise, I think I am going to go ahead again. I do feel like there's a message wanting to come through collectively for anyone listening. So what I feel is coming through is this may sound a bit repetitive, but I'm going to say it anyways because I'm trusting when I channel and things to come through to just say them. And that is, I definitely feel a frequency of being mindful of what stories you're writing, what you're taking as present in your external environment and making it a part of your story. I feel like that is one of the big energies I'm feeling. I'm also definitely feeling Pleiadian frequency coming through right now. There's a lot of love and enthusiasm. But what I feel like is they're saying there's a lot that's accessible. There's a lot that's accessible, a lot of love, a lot of joy, a lot of possibility, a lot of look at what is growing. And in this, that is how you are going to get through this year. And I have shared a video, I'm going to make a note I can share, where I actually channeled the year ahead of what we may be going through or experiencing collectively. And I will be honest that it looks like a very ripe with things. You know what I mean? Year. And so I feel like this energy from the Pleiadians though is saying kind of like, yeah, you can focus there. You can. There's plenty of that out there, but understanding that you are also writing your story. And do you want to write that into your script? Meaning not in spiritually bypassing, not in avoiding, but in the energy frequency of understanding my soul has chosen to incarnate now, what we are going through. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I recorded a video, which a reel. You can't find it. I took it down. But I was sitting in my car at the grocery store, and I was waiting for some ladies that were having a conversation beside me, to finish and kind of move out of the way, because I needed to kind of like back, and they were in the way, and I wasn't in any hurry. So I thought, oh, I'll just sit here. What I observed was two women talking very negatively about various groups of people who identify in different ways, whether that be through expression or color of their skin. A lot of different opinions politically. And the one lady said to the others that we should do it like they do in Russia, line them all up and pew, 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 as she made the gesture of eliminating people. And I thought to myself, and yes, I do tend to probably see the best in people. I know there's a lot of ugliness in the world, but I don't have a lot of energy cross my path like that. And that's okay, because I was meant to be there. I was meant to hear it. I was meant to experience it for a reason. But what I can tell you, my first response being the Aries that I am, I got incredibly irritated as they continued to make fun of things. And the language doesn't matter, just because it does matter, but it hits pretty much every box. And so that's why I'm not even going there, because it's not about that. It was about, I was so infuriated in that moment. I took a video and I kind of just like, I didn't show their faces, but just did a little quick turn of the camera to show the two ladies. And I said, yeah, these women just said that we need to go back to do it like they do in Russia and line them up against the wall and eliminate them all, shoot them all. And how we have to do better. Like, this can't be the case. But I was very angry. I was angry in what I just heard. I was frustrated that we have language like that, where people might think that the problem is execution of mass groups of people. I would like to think we've evolved past that. And so I was angry. But what I found is you can't fight anger with anger. I ended up having probably the most views I've ever had on any reel I've shared, and a ton of comments from every expression. There were people that got it. There were people that said, oh, well, no, we actually need to execute all of the Democrats, or we need to execute this group. And I thought, whoa, this is not what I wanted this to be. And I realized that when I come from an energy frequency in that sense, that is what I'm fueling. And not to say that there aren't moments we need to rise up and there aren't moments that we need to express. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a number of ways I could have handled that better. And my partner helped me realize that. And one of the things he said is, you could have simply said to them, well, you're not in Russia, and Russia must not be that great in that sense. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Now, I have no beef against Russia, but once again, it's the context of the lady suggesting we should execute massive groups of people. So, there was a number of different ways that it could have been handled. It could have been, I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't know what in your life has caused that feeling, but I hope that you can receive love and experience moving forward that gives you different experiences. I don't know. There's a ton of different ways I could have handled it better. But my point is that I can't, there's so much right now. We can't carry all of it. We can't solve all of it. We can't mend all of it. We can't fight against all of it. And I think this is kind of what the Pleiadians are suggesting and saying is, You have to be mindful of where you engage with it and where you start defining your experience and your stories from that. I could have attached judgment. They were elderly ladies. I could have attached judgment and said, well, these older ladies who don't see that. No, then I'm just as guilty as them. It's hard. I mean, it's hard when there's so much out there right now. But I think that what they're saying is understand, even if it's to the tiniest degree that you can, not avoidance, but understanding that you're co-creating your reality and your experience. I could have looked at myself and said, okay, what kind of person do I want to be in this experience? Instead of just being reactive to responding in anger to what made me angry. I could have took a breath and said, okay, what role do I want to play in this experience? How do I was put in this situation obviously for a reason. How is that going to shape who I am or what I believe or how I show up or what I contribute in some capacity to the whole? And I hear them saying that is all. That is all. Okay, so I'm going to give one last opportunity really quick before I sign off. If you've been listening or watching and you have a question, you would like intuitive guidance. If you want intuitive guidance, put your name, your first name, not your whole name, just your first, so I can energetically connect with you and your question in the chat. And I will connect and answer. If you have a question about human design, galactic astrology, anything galactic races, anything like that, put your question in the chat. I'm going to give a moment. I don't have any dramatic Jeopardy music playing. But if you have a question, now is your time. And if you're listening to this on a replay, as I said, connect. Don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If I can show up here, regardless of who shows up, if I can go, like I said, sit on the beach with a sign, regardless of who shows up, if you're wanting to connect more and you're looking for your tribe, start being open. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to connect in some capacity. Okay, so if you're watching a replay, comment, give me a question. I can revisit it next live because I'm going to do this again. Maybe I'll do it next Sunday. Yes, I'm going to do that. That'll be every week. For at least 3 weeks I've done this. So, okay. All right. We have no questions. I guess there'd be a buzzer right about now. Thank you so much. If you're still watching this with me, if you would like a chance to connect with me again, like I said, come back next Sunday. I'll do another live. Comment below. Give me a question. If you give me a question, though, come back and watch the video or be with me next Sunday to see the answer, because that's what I'm going to answer. But yeah, if you want to work with me, like I said, I am galactic astrologer. I do a lot in astrology, human design. I stopped labeling them all individually because when you read with me, I tie them all together. I read your Akashic Records. I talk about your past lives, and it is a meaty session that you will leave feeling like, whoa. There will be lots that feels empowering, lots that will probably feel challenging, and you'll understand yourself on a way that isn't just like, oh, that's really cute, I have that thing. No, in a way that makes you walk differently in your life, the way that makes you make decisions differently and how you show up in the world, a way that makes relationships start adjusting to be the most aligned version, connecting to you and your fullness. It's very transformative, but I have a lot of Pluto energy, so that happens. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.